What's up, everybody? So, I have now recorded this video a few times, or tried to. I've started quite a few times, and I haven't been able to finish. I'm super excited to share my experience with the artist way from this past week, but for whatever reason, I'm struggling to create a video that feels authentic, and I don't know. So I just want to acknowledge that before I start. I also feel like I should mention that I actually did record a full 20-minute video a few hours ago. And when I stopped recording, the whole thing was corrupted for whatever reason. And that was super disappointing. It is super disappointing. I spent way too long trying to recover the video when I could just record a new one. But it feels kind of exhausting to rehash everything that I've already discussed, especially when I was already struggling to make this. But my motto right now is that done is better than perfect. And so that's what we're doing here today. We're getting this video done. It's not going to be perfect. Anyways, like I said, I had a great time last week doing the artist way. I want to focus today on my artist date and on the blurts and affirmations. I did more exercises than that, but those are the ones that stuck out to me. So starting with the artist date, what I did this week was took myself to the movies. I went and saw Marty Supreme in theaters, and it was incredible. Highly recommend the movie. It was really relevant to one of the core themes of this week's reading, so I'll get back to that in a second. But just to talk about the experience, I went to a matinee showing at a movie theater with the comfortable reclining chairs. It was middle of the day, so I pretty much had the theater to myself. There was a few other people, but I had a whole row to myself. I was pretty stoked because the matinee ticket was only like $12, and I wanted to keep costs low. But I also wanted to have the full movie theater experience. So obviously, I wanted to do popcorn and a drink and some candy. And so I was quickly reminded of why most people don't go to the movies anymore, which is that, ticket aside, the snacks and drinks totaled like $45 in the end, and I almost didn't do that. But I took a moment and I kind of had what I consider like an important revelation, which was I was taking myself on a date. And if I really wanted to treat it like a date, like I would with a real person, the truth is that I would shell out the extra money for the snacks and the drink, because that's fun. That's part of the experience. And I think I deserve it. So I did end up buying, the large popcorn and root beer and peanut M&Ms and treating myself. And I'm glad I did. And I want to carry that mentality into my future artist dates, because while I don't think the money spent is a reflection of like quality, I think intention is the important piece here, which my intention was to pamper my inner artist, my inner child, take myself on a real date. And I think that the popcorn and snacks make a difference in this scenario. So I'm glad I did it. Like I said, the movie was incredible. Without giving away too much, it follows Marty, the main character, who is a world-class ping pong player, and he's trying to go after the world championship title. But there's all kinds of roadblocks and things that get in his way along the way. And he never gives up, and he gets into some crazy scenarios in pursuit of his dreams. He doesn't take no for an answer, and he refuses to give up on his dream, no matter how out of reach it seems. And so that was really great in relation to the reading this week, because one of the key messages that Julia Cameron talks about and that Doechii has repeated many times is that audacity, not talent, is what separates the successful artist from the blocked artist. And to me, what that means is I think everyone is talented or has talents that are available to them if they choose to follow them. But being talented and identifying as an artist aren't necessarily always hand in hand. I think to be vulnerable and to put your artwork out there and to claim yourself publicly as an artist, that requires audacity. And this movie just screamed audacity. And so that's been a big focus of this week for me, is audacity, because I know I'm talented. I don't think that my talent is what's holding me back. I think it's having the bravery and the courage and the strength to claim my birthright as an artist. So yeah, great movie. The date was really inspiring, and I actually wrote something in my journal when I got home from the movie, because I was really trying to capture that energy, and I wanted to share it here because it feels really relevant. So I wrote, there are a lot of things around trying to be successful that can contradict directly with my spirituality, and I tend to get hung up on them, putting my values and my spirituality first. I have no shame in that, and I'm actually very proud of it, but audacity doesn't have to conflict. Audacity doesn't have to equal ego. Audacity is confidence and self-love, boldness, courage, bravery, persistence. Audacity is being seen. It's taking up space. It's letting people know who you are and what your mission is relentlessly. Audacity is taking every opportunity and not even for a second entertaining the idea of failure. Audacity is a beautiful spiritual practice. It is self-love at its finest. It's being proud of yourself and your love for yourself. Does being audacious upset people, offend them? Sometimes, but you can be kind and be audacious. Those two things don't conflict. You can be empathetic, compassionate, kind, and loving, and still be audacious. If you going after your goals, taking up space, being yourself, offends someone, fuck them, because you can't control how people react. As long as your intentions are pure and your actions are aligned with your values, other people's reactions are not your concern, especially their judgments. I wish I could watch this movie every day for the rest of my life. I want to believe in myself to the point of delusion, because at that point it isn't delusion, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, audacity. It was a big focus this past week, and it's going to continue to be a big focus going forward. And that's all I have to say about my artist date. The next thing I wanted to talk about is blurts and affirmations. So a key theme of this chapter was your core negative beliefs, which is pretty self-explanatory, but essentially it's the things that we as blocked artists consciously and subconsciously believe about ourselves and about our creativity, and that tend to become the excuses that we hide behind rather than claiming our identity as an artist and doing the work. So one of the main things that Julia Cameron had us focus on this week was identifying some of those core beliefs. And to do that, she introduced affirmations, which I'm sure everyone is aware of. But affirmations are a great tool against our core negative beliefs. And what happens is, as you start to work with affirmations, our core negative beliefs will present themselves as what she calls blurts. And blurts are essentially just these deeply ingrained beliefs popping up and trying to disprove or contradict the affirmations that you're working with. So it's really interesting. Another thing that came up for me as I started working with affirmations is that she's pretty vague in how specifically you're supposed to work with affirmations. And being the perfectionist that I am, I wanted so badly to open up Google or whatever and look up how to work with affirmations, and how to do it in the style of Julia Cameron's Artist Way. And I had to stop myself, and I'm glad I did, because I think one of the overarching themes of this journey is trusting in yourself and in your intuition and listening to what comes up and having faith in yourself. And so rather than Google like how to do this, I sat with it for a while and decided to just start writing affirmations, which feels right and feels aligned with what she's encouraging you to do. So that's what I did. And I have my journal here that I've been using. And as you can see, it is just filled page after page with affirmations. And I'm just writing like a lot of the same sentences over and over again, trying out different ones and seeing what sticks. So she provides some in the text, and I used some of those as well as coming up with some of my own. And I have found this really useful. It is crazy that when you first start doing it, you really do. I really did feel, I don't know, like disingenuous. I felt like a phony. It felt very silly. But yeah, she challenges you as your blurts come up to reframe them as affirmations. And I didn't necessarily do this one-to-one. I did capture some blurts. I spent most of my time writing affirmations because I enjoyed it. So I figure I'll read some of the blurts that came out first, and then I'll read some of the affirmations that I really enjoyed this week. Some of them are mine, some of them are hers. But yeah, so the blurts that came up for me were that I have no work ethic, that I can't finish songs or projects, that I can't even play an instrument, that I'm not prepared for the studio, that I'm lazy and I have a short attention span, that I give up easily, and that I change hobbies like I change clothes. I also had some blurts that nobody even listens to my music. I have no stage presence and I'm awkward when I perform. When was the last time I touched my paintbrushes? Let's see. I know there's a few more good ones in here. I can't be a role model if I'm still a blocked creative. So I can't be a role model for other blocked creatives if I'm still blocked. And I shouldn't praise myself as a badass because it's cocky. Like, reading them now, it feels ridiculous, but Yeah, these are things that I, have internalized over the years and that I am now working to counteract. And so now I'm going to read some of my affirmations that I used to kind of reframe these beliefs and to motivate myself and hopefully rewire some of these thoughts. There is no age limit on creative recovery. This one's one of hers, but I love it. My dreams come from God, and God has the power to accomplish them. These aren't in any specific order, by the way. These are just as they come up. I am a role model for other blocked creatives. My creativity heals myself and others. I enjoy being seen and taking up space. Taking up space is an act of faith and devotion. I am proud of my inner child and his gifts and his courage. Let's see. By shamelessly expressing myself and exploring my creativity, I inspire others to do the same. Okay, so this is interesting. On Saturday, I was feeling very tired. I worked the night before and I woke up tired. And so most of the day I was resting and was feeling unmotivated to do this. But I kind of had a revelation that was like I could channel that energy around rest and the shame I was feeling around not doing this into the work. So most of these, actually all of them, are pretty much about rest. But I do not need to earn rest. I deserve rest. Rest serves my spirit, my body, and my creativity. I allow myself to rest. Rest does not mean I'm not trying. Rest does not make me unworthy. And rest is not a sign of weakness. I'm not ashamed of rest. So those are some of my affirmations. I'm feeling a little scattered right now. Like I said, this is my second time recording this all the way through, and probably my 100th time trying to make this fucking video. But there it is. Those are my highlights. I did some other activities. I listed my creative heroes, some creative enemies from my past. I wrote out some dream lives, and one of those was being an author. And so to practice that, I wrote a short story. Morning pages, 7 out of 7 days. Pretty standard at this point for me, but it wasn't always easy. I think that's it. This is my little reflection that I did. I think I've covered everything I really wanted to. I don't know if this video is going to be good or not. I feel glad that I did it and that I re-recorded it. I'm going to post it as is. And yeah, that's week 1. I've started reading week 2 already, and I'll be focused on that next week. And for the sake of accountability, I will be back next week, hopefully with some new energy and excitement around making a video. But anyways, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching, and I will see you next week.